So once again, I'm Chuck Drake, son of Bill Drake, and my sister's here, Beth, and my niece, her daughter, Megan. And I think there's going to be a connecting of the dots here very soon on how Virginia Star, now moving into Michigan, will unfold in front. When Chris was talking about internet access to developing countries and how important it is that they get access to the cloud and you still have to have desktop software, it's the same thing in our field. I'm a 30-year educator. I was born and raised in Ann Arbor and then moved to Virginia and have been there forever. So my background is in science and in AP curriculum, and also in the field of technology and computer, most recently computer refurbishment. It's surprising what I found over the years is how many families don't have a computer at home still in the year 2010, 11, and even 12. Just yesterday I learned of a school right in our backyard, 4 blocks up the road. So what I do in Virginia is I teach science. I run a specialty program for high school students, in a big high school, 2,500 students, that learn information technology skills, networking and hardware refurbishment, computer programming, as well as interactive media, which require website development, Photoshop, CS5 and 6, and all of that. So today I'm talking about a Virginia Star program, student training and refurbishment, that was started years ago. We're now into our 4th year in the state of Virginia, taking computers from the government, and I'm running through the PowerPoint, so this is going to go really nice and quick. From the government, mostly from the government, and nowadays all hard drives that come from government officials or government agencies, our biggest source, obviously, the hard drives are pulled. We're up and running? Very good. Thank you, Steve. Should I start over? So I'll come back to that, pulling the hard drives, because it's part of it. So what I started a couple of years ago is I dreamed about having a relationship with CSF, Community Systems Foundation, and Virginia Star. And our goal is to move the STAR program into other states, which we've done, but to bring it home to Michigan and to work with CSF. In the field of education, which I've learned when John was talking about this open source data management, gigantic news, our own country has the most amazing dysfunctional Department of Education still to this day. There's only a few curriculums in our own nation, one of the most educated countries in the world, not the most, I'm sure, is that there's only a couple of curriculums that are standardized. Does anyone know what the most standardized curriculum for your kids, and maybe even yourself, was and still is in the United States of America?
American history?
Nope.
That's for sure.
Because American history in Virginia is American history. You understand? It all happened in the Commonwealth, okay?
Well, Texas has got a different idea.
Yeah, Texas would have its own idea, no, I will probably, yes. It's advanced placement. That's a curriculum. That's a curriculum. It's not an SAT or a PSAT. So when you see, high stakes tests develop a love of learning, this is the government's way of trying to get the data, because we're all data-driven decisions now. This is where CSF is so good at doing, is the research and the data analysis. And the feds are still trying to figure this out, and you got 50 states doing 50 different things. But the same state and the same child in Texas or in Ann Arbor or in Virginia takes the advanced placement exam and runs through all of that curriculum, all right? And almost all of that curriculum is online. And it's standardized. And then they take a test and you're scored. And then if you get a 4 or 5 at the University of Michigan, they give you a college credit, which is worth about $2,000 per class or more. It's big money. So what Virginia Star does is we try to enhance the technology and give to people or school systems that don't have enough to stay current in the world. So the mission of Virginia Star is to train students in the field of computer refurbishment, which, believe it or not, folks, it's not as easy as throwing a hard drive in and blowing out the dust and putting a new piece of RAM in. Computers are very technical now. It takes a lot of time. Software operating systems require different hardware configurations. You've got ID drives versus SATA drives. It's not that easy. You can go buy a new computer for $300 or $400. If you want a little better computer with a nicer flat screen, it's probably $500, $600, $700. Laptops you can get for $300 or $400, all right? But that's $300 or $400, or maybe $700, $800 that maybe you don't have that to spend, and that's what we found. Or you can spend it one time, but your family of 5 needs 2 or 3 devices in the house. And looking at your own mission statement, which is just beautifully written and crafted and is so true to the core of research, there's some synergy between the Virginia Star model and what we do and with what Community Systems Foundation's heart and soul is. So what I'll do very quickly is give you a report card on Virginia Star, student training and refurbishment, what we did last year and how we're increasing our problem solving and teamwork skills, which is so critical. Follow the money and how we became funded real quickly. And then Angel Elementary School. Got a cool story. So real quickly, we now used to be in 5 school divisions 3 years ago. We're now in 17 school districts in Virginia. There's 135 counties like you have in the state of Michigan. I don't know what your counties are, but Washtenaw County is one, all right? Prince William County, where I'm from, is the 2nd largest in the state of Virginia. We're in 17. Funded by a PIF grant. We got $300,000 a few years ago, so we give schools some dollars, we give them expertise, we give them equipment, and they decide where the computers go to families and schools that need it. Hundreds of what's called students in the field of computer repair. They get A+ certifications or the Strata certification, which is industry standard like AP. It's the same across the nation. Many thousands of computers given. There's some grant information there for you. We've increased it every year, and the amount of donations that we've been getting every year have increased every single year. This year will be our biggest as well. And then I'll talk about the big grant we just got from this federal, from the state agency, which is now a line item in the Virginia budget. Very difficult to do. It's not a grant, it's a line item in the budget. You guys will appreciate that. Just kind of so pay attention to the young man there in the photo, because he's the next student of mine. He's in the little window of a bus, and that's a trunk full of hard drives. $25 a pop, 200 hard drives, do the math. These suckers are expensive. Our own county, which is the 2nd largest in the nation, and if you watch the election, Prince William County was the county that swung Virginia blue. And what didn't swing blue, John, you're not clapping. What swung it blue was where I voted, and it took me 3 hours to vote. All right, but Prince William County up there, nestled to Fairfax, the big beast in Virginia, swung the state for Obama. It's also a very big state curriculum-wise. We do a lot of development in that. Even in our own school system, right next to Washington, D.C., has a lot of need with families that don't have enough machines. Huge Hispanic population, gigantic. So our county made this part of the strategic plan. We're very well documenting ourselves with data-driven decisions. And these are the 5 primary goals, and one of them is to include courses with certifications or licensing that students can get jobs. And Virginia Star assists with that. Some of our partners is our foundations, our education foundations, which is this model of STAR can be replicated anywhere on any scale. It's the blueprint, if you will, to make it happen wherever you are, even in another country. We have Microsoft licensing agreements, thank goodness. And $1 million in donated equipment. This is pretty good equipment now. This isn't just garbage. This is good stuff over the last 4 years. And then the General Assembly awarded us $425,000 in the biennial budget. So we concentrated, something changed, actually, and I owe a lot of this to CSF. We changed some of our model of training our students, and not just the hardware components of this, and not just churning out machines. We changed the model in the problems into problem solving. These are ninth grade students learning not about computers. These are STAR students. These are refurbishers. These kids are computer geeks that come after school. They're learning how to solve problems using lasers, because you have to teamwork, you have a little bit of angle work, you have to get the laser just right. You know, why do you blow the smoke? Just simple stuff in physics, but it parlayed into the kids doing better jobs on fixing computers, because it is very technical. You'd think that would never fit or never work, but it actually does correlate with the business. So starting from a 9th grader in this problem solving ends with seniors doing high-end Cisco certifications and wiring labs in closets. In this case, it's our classroom, one of our labs in Virginia. These are high-end routers, and these are cables all connected to switches, and they're performing with each other how data moves through the world, through packets and through gateways and so on. So there's the beginning kid in 9th, and here's a senior going for a high-end test. Now, of course, Virginia STAR can't happen. Any STAR program cannot happen without product. You have to have machines that can be given to families or schools. So one of my jobs, and unfortunately the biggest job I have, is procuring equipment. And the federal government's a beautiful place. You have something called Computers for Learning, which is a federal agency that you can get computers for. You can get it from local agencies. Just the principal at Angel yesterday said that he knows the dean of the education department here at Univille, and is very kind of angry why don't these machines that the university disposes of, which they give auctions for, are still very expensive. He's been there, and so they're way too expensive. So he has an idea coming forward, which I'll share with you quick. That's 350 computers, HP 5750s, 5850s, dual core processors that can sit on any network in any state in the union, but they don't have a hard drive. So once I secure equipment, usually it's me, although some schools are getting better now at using their local sources of computer equipment. Then school systems come and get the equipment, or I send a truck, or I drive a truck to their locations, 17. It goes into the hands of a qualified person or an after-school volunteer, and then they start the process of organizing, inventorying, seeding the RAM, blowing the dust, going through a set process to get the machines ready, installing the software. And then during that process also, I swoop in because we were funded, and I give a school system $4,000, and that covers equipment they may need. It covers some training. It covers pizza for the kids after school. They like to design their own t-shirts. It covers a Bridging the Gap event at night when families come in to receive the equipment. These are two very small counties in the center of the state of Virginia. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Students, these are SWAT students, but schools call it differently. Students working to advance technology. This is a group of an elementary school. We had 30 SWAT kids all donned in their black t-shirts. A big huddle team. Those 9th graders that started with lasers and end with are there at night. These two guys, this is 2 years ago. This is John and Samantha, and they were what called the team leads. And so to get a kid out of the lab and then get him in front of an audience and to manage students and to manage Hispanic parents is a game changer for them. They really start to flourish in this arena they're not good at. And I push them, I get them in all kinds of uncomfortable positions. Anytime I can put a student in an uncomfortable position, hallelujah. I love it to see them squirm. So there's some more SWAT students. These are the youngest aspiring little young ones that'll be up in my school, I hope. This is at a local elementary school in Manassas, Virginia. First and second battle of Manassas in the only state that has history, by the way, U.S. history. What we also all know about is that people, human beings, learn the best when they teach, when they actually have to impart their knowledge to others. They have a great body of knowledge, but when you start to give that to someone else and they start asking questions, or they're curious, and you have to give them the answers, sometimes in Spanish, sometimes with body language, that's where they do the best. And this is Jose, that now works for Xerox, and this is the Hispanic family in our Cisco lab. And this kind of model is repeated all across the state of Virginia, you know, in different sizes and different scales. Virginia STAR, student training, and refurbishment, all right? So what we found, and I used actually the model from CSF to some degree, is that unintentionally these kids are refurbishing these computers, and then they have to take a standardized test. The Strata test or the A+ core test that adults take for industry to get certified to go into work for the University of the SRE here, or the Dana building, you know? And the machine goes down, it won't connect to the internet, there's a bad cable, the hard drive goes, you know, you have to have a level of expertise and a certificate to get that job. Over the years, as the kids were touching more machines, we found that they got better scores. Because on those tests, there's diagrams, it's all an online test. You take the test in front of a computer, you hit return, you know your results in 30 seconds. You're done. You pass or you fail. Gives you a score. 609 is passing, 68 is not. It's that simple. So we had a lot of students over the years do very well on these tests, and then we had a drop-off last year. And so it's not on the graph. Let's be honest here. I gotta be, this kind of graph's got to go up. Sorry, Sandy, but we all know statistics can be very misleading. So that little blip there, and ink went down. And so this fall, we tried to figure out why. And we found out that in the tests, because the teacher we just hired recently just took the test, so he's very in tune with this, because the kids come back and they give you all kinds of information. I am not certified in that exam. It's too tough. I'm a product of the 60s under Bill Gates. Are you kidding me? So the piece that was missing with the students that were taking the test last year is that we found that the number of types of machines they were touching had dropped. The machines that I was getting from the government were much more of the same, about 2 to 3 brands. In previous years, they were touching 7, 8, 9 different kinds of computers with different configurations, as well as laptops and printers. So this year, we looked at how many machines had come in. We actually looked at the data and why did last year's crop of kids, they're basically the same every year. Why did the test scores go down? And the reason is that they weren't touching as many different kinds of machines. It was becoming more of a standardized, factory. We were churning out hundreds or thousands of computers, but the kids weren't digging into the weeds enough. So we brought back a bunch of old machines. We still have them. They still have to now work on at least 6 different kinds within an 8-year period, because that exam goes back about 8 years, and laptops. Unintended consequence of that. That's Carl, who's got all those certifications, teaching a high school advanced level Cisco networking class. And he's not the only kid that could do that. That's the CompTIA exam there. That's one of the tests that the kids take. It's about a 39 to 41% pass rate. A couple of years before that, we were 45 or 46% of high school 10th, 11th graders taking that tough exam. That's not 50%, but it's good. And last year we dropped to 31%. So we dropped 10 points. So on the political side, and how we became funded, and how this model could be kind of used in any state, this is a few years ago when our networking classes from Cisco were invited to see then Governor Kaine, Tim Kaine. He now is Senator Kaine, so we're connected to DC. Tim Kaine is on the left. He was the governor of Virginia before McDonald, who's a staunch Republican, short little guy, great. And he's quite a guy. I met him. Tim Kaine is quite the Democrat and quite the education. So he is now a senator in Washington, so we're connected with that, along with Senator Mark Warner, that you may see run for president in 4 years. Very dynamic individual from the only state that has history. The other person that we have that kind of helped us politically was Anish Chopra. He was the first CTO that was appointed by Tim Kaine to run the state of Virginia, and he was a medical background and very much into data collection and also into saving money with on how you streamline data analysis and information that comes in and record keepings and moving it from paper to electronic. He then was snapped up by President Obama. He started the word STAR. It's his baby, and he selected us and our school to be the model site for the state of Virginia. He now, he was the first Chief Technology Officer for President Obama, and then just a little recently he retired from that post, and he's running for Lieutenant Governor next fall, and then after that, hopefully Governor of Virginia. So to chase the money and how we kind of did this, it's a little busy there, I'll go quickly on this, but as you know, the Commonwealth of Virginia is one of the oldest legislative bodies in the Western Hemisphere history. There's only, Michigan doesn't have any history. We had a few Indians running around a few years ago, that's about it.
Hey,
so,
wait a minute.
so we did a 3-pronged approach on getting the funding, and I learned a lot of this from Dad. You know, you have to have multiple approaches to when you start searching for money. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Get to know the people that make the decisions and tweak them the way they want to be tweaked, because they love to be told that they're doing good jobs. So, you know, we hit the PIF grant, productivity investment, we hit the Secretary of Education, and then we went up to the General Assembly. Prince William County School Board, our own county, because it saved our own county so much money, we became a legislative priority. As soon as that happens, and this happens anywhere in any state agency, that kicks in what's called a lobbyist. And a lobbyist goes on the state level to work with the legislative body to secure funding for your school district. So that's kind of a model anywhere it can be used. So after you know that, follow the money, and the ones that make the money decisions are, in any state, is the Senate, if you have a Senate, but it's the finance people. They're the ones that actually, at the end of the day, control the money. So what we did is we would present to the Senate Finance Committee members. But you can't present to them unless Virginia Star is in their county. Now, this is a very crude map, but it came up last year, and we decided to take DevInfo's information and you know, start from basics. So I blew up a map about this big, threw it up on a wall, and we took the current, just re-elected last spring, all of the state finance folks, okay, which in many cases they have schools that are in real need. And we started systematically finding the counties in our Commonwealth that these state senators had school districts in. And then we would actually go into that school district and say, look, we've got a deal for you. Do you have the expertise? Are you interested? And no one has said no yet. So you develop that relationship with that principal in school, and then you move Virginia Star into that school district, and then as part of them becoming online in that school system and us giving them money and equipment for their families and their schools, in many cases, we put them on their networks to save dollars. They have to invite that state senator to that event. So it's in his or her brain when they're sitting at the table trying to figure out how much money they can spend. That's our own Senator Colgan up there, the old guy there, 80-some years old, ex-fighter pilot in World War II, and he was our champion last year, but he now has been replaced because Virginia, there was a one-seat swing. He was chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. Now he's only second in command, so now we have to target a new guy, a Republican, very staunch Republican in the center of the state. It's not going to be an easy task. So 2 slides left. I think I told you this story years ago, but this bus was filled with computers that went to Liberia, and in the front there is my boss, and then there's the student, Brian Burrows, that you saw earlier on that gave us the hard drive. He works for a federal agency and gave us all the equipment. So he's one of our own, trained, and has given back to us. It has gone all across the state, into New York, Maryland, and actually yesterday into Ann Arbor. By the way, the bus was shipped to Africa, and they tore apart the bus. They tore apart the bus. And then finally, yesterday, there's Charlie on the left, my uncle. He couldn't be here today. He's here, but he has a little stomach issue. The principal there on the right, in the blue shirt and the mustache, is Eastern Michigan grad. And this is Angel Elementary School. If you go right out to Southview, less than a block, go up past Starbucks, go past Washtenaw, past the Mud Bowl, and right on your right is Angel Elementary School, where I went to school. Did you go there, Beth? Mm-hmm. Yeah, my sister went there. Megan, you can go. No. So what we did is we had some high-end laptops. My goal was to get Michigan started for Virginia Star becoming MI Star. I did this all on behalf of Computer Systems Foundation. This is not a Virginia Star initiative. It's a CSF, nonprofit organization, to reach out with a mission of improving, educational opportunities for everybody. And these are high-end laptops, dual cores, Toshiba, switch around tablets, the whole thing. We donated them to Mr. Gary Court. He's the one that knows the dean. And my niece Megan is doing some volunteer work at Eastern Michigan University, where she's an education major. And I think that might be the seed that starts CSF Star into this state. And I'd love to, I'll retire soon, I'd love to come back here and maybe seed this program. There's still a need for this kind of things to happen in this day and age. Those 5 computers that are going, more will come, are going to 70% 70 students at Angel Elementary School are free and reduced. Angel Elementary School, all the houses around the Bud Bowl, you know, I don't know if you own a house there, but you have to be very wealthy to own a house there, unless you bought it long ago, like John.
Which is why he's very wealthy now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But, so I said to the principal, I said, where on earth do you have families that don't have a computer? He does everything electronically, but he still has to have a desktop model because those 70 free and reduced students, they don't have a computer at home. I said, you gotta be kidding me. And they draw from North Campus, that wasn't the issue. They draw their boundary line of 285 students. They draw 90 kids from that corridor between here and Eastern Michigan, Gulfside. Gulfview, right in that area. And he said, those computers will make those families literally cry. So that's kind of where, that's the feel-good part of the Virginia Star, or we should say CSF Star, Michigan Star, will go. And then finally, kind of, we already talked about the future, but many sites, but increase Virginia Star sites in my own state to what's called an LCI index, local composite index. That's real estate and jobs income level, and that there's huge disparities. So that's where we move in because those families can't afford. Apply for an LLC or a nonprofit status. It would be nice to have a nonprofit status. Obviously, we're still in the, we have to lobby again for funding, but now they got to take it out. They have to cross it out versus putting it in. There's a big difference. Continue to refine the scalable model, MI Star, and it could be some of you that might have an idea on that, and maybe Megan can run with this, or at least connect some dots. And then build on the elementary school project. I'm going to give them more. It's such a cool little elementary school, very, very nice, a beautiful feel to it. It's an old building, and you walk in, there's no doors, there's no alarms, there's no security. Amazing, amazing. The principal knew every single name in that building. And he knew the families right away to give those computers to, right away. That's how good it is. So, thank you.